Welcome everyone to our next session in the week of action. We want to celebrate climate innovators and climate entrepreneurs out there, and we are EIT Climate Kick, and we are focusing on bringing knowledge and innovation with our partners to different countries in the world to generate climate innovations and to fight climate change all over the world. We want to generate a climate positive world and really be active as much as we can. That's why we are planning and having this panel conversation right now, which will be all about how we are boosting climate and entrepreneurship in Latin America and also connecting it to Spain and Europe. My name is Daube. I'm leading the ClimAccelerator efforts to really grow this community of partners all over the world. That's my big purpose, and that's what we're here for. So if you have any innovation and any idea around water, I think please feel free to share it under our hashtag Destination 1.5. Yes, our hashtag is Destination 1.5, and please feel free to share it as soon as you can so we can see your climate innovations and your climate actions as much as possible. Audience, as soon as you have any questions, please raise them to the chat and raise them to the people we will have in this panel right now. Be curious, be attentive, and challenge my panelists right now about what they're doing in Latin America and Spain. So I believe I have with me right now my three panelists. We've got Joop Blom in the Netherlands, acting in Colombia with Cleantech Hub, Colombia basically. We've got Rafael Piñón in here. He's leading the entrepreneurship and innovation efforts at the Tecnologico de Monterrey. And we've got Juan Manuel here, who's leading Finnovaregio, who's really active in Spain and in Europe to work for entrepreneurs. How are you guys doing? Very good, very good. Thanks for having me here, and please introduce yourselves. I will go with Joop first always, second Rafael, and then third Juan Manuel. So please, Joop, go ahead and introduce yourself quickly as well.
All right, my name is Joop Blom. I'm from the Netherlands, but I used to live in Colombia for 4 years. I've been in the field of corporate social responsibility and nowadays sustainability for over 20 years. So I've been starting at a calling in the desert and now seeing more and more the urgency and more also the shift towards sustainability as like climate change as the basis for everything. I lived in Colombia from 2016 to 2020, and there I had the opportunity to start Climate Launchpad, one of the programs of EIT Climate Kick, to boost green entrepreneurship. We started in Colombia quite successfully actually, and over the years that evolved into a Cleantech hub, offering actually more programs of EIT Climate Kick, from Climaton to Climate Launchpad to ClimAccelerator. And now also offering access to markets in Colombia, and we are also now growing into Mexico. So that would be it in short. And all with the purpose to drive green entrepreneurship and clean tech innovation ecosystems in Latin America.
Thanks, Joop. Rafael.
Thank you. It's great to be here. It's a pleasure to share with you. I'm Rafael. I'm currently the leader of the entrepreneurship ecosystem here at Tech of Monterrey within the Eugenio Garza Lagora Entrepreneurship Institute. I have been involved in the Mexican ecosystem for the last 10 years. So we have seen a lot of things going on, especially in the last 3 years. I studied my master's in environmental engineering at the time where the ozone layer in the stratosphere was the main concern. So many things have changed so far. So currently we also run a sustainability challenge program with Heineken Mexico, in which every year we have a challenge going from CO2 mitigation to water to circular economy to the current challenges, sustainable agriculture. So we take all these challenges, engaging the community, engaging students, researchers in many universities here in Mexico. And then we take from the idea, inspiration part to pre-incubation, and then to competition. And finally, we accelerate 20 startups a year within this. So we are using all this experience to build climate tech and clean tech ecosystem here in Mexico. We have seen previous efforts in the last 10 years, but we think that nowadays the window opportunities is clearly open, and there is more interest for many actors, not only the government or different organizations, but also corporations, and for sure investors as well. So nice to be here.
Thanks, Rafael. Juan Manuel, tell us a bit about yourself and your organization.
Okay, I'm the CEO of the Fundación Finnova. I'm based in Brussels, but we have formal delegations in Santiago de Chile, but also in Panama City. And we have also offices in Valencia region, Basque Country region in Spain, Madrid, and Andalusia. And the challenge of our non-profit organization is first to explain in the better way the access to EU funding for innovative companies in the field of climate change. We are members of Climate Change Valencia. Also to train startups in how to accelerate their company. We have the Startup Europe Accelerator launched from 2011, and Brussels what can provide is EU funding, EU experience, also European Union investors from the capital of Europe, Brussels, and we offer training experience for young people. In our team, we have 4 colleagues from Latin America, from Colombia 2, 1 from Brazil, and our director of IT is from Mexico. And we have launched in 2018 in Mexico the Startup Europe Awards Mexico.org that was in the field of sustainability in the agriculture sector, biodiversity, climate change, renewable energy, water, and circular economy. And also in Chile, we were before pandemia. We did in Ciudad Futuro. It was an important congress, the Smart Cities Congress, and that's it. Allow me just to explain that in this new period there will be the biggest reconstruction economy plan in the history of the humanity, 12 more times of the Marshall's Plan, and part of that funding could help the cooperation European Union with Latin America, with the triangular cooperation or Euroclima, for example. Thank you.
Thank you, Juan Manuel. So the first question will go to Job. Job, tell us a bit more about what's happening in entrepreneurship and climate in your region in Colombia. I mean, how is it out there? What's happening there?
No, I think we started in 2019. So then there was already a very vibrant ecosystem for entrepreneurship in general. I think also the level of education is very high, the level of university is very good. The Cámara de Comercios, the Chamber of Commerces are doing a lot of work. There's a lot of government support also for innovation, for entrepreneurship. And also I think the culture of Colombian people are quite entrepreneurial, and there's also a good growing middle class, so to say, in Colombia. So in that sense, I think the infrastructure was already there, and we only added the green flavor to it. We only added green entrepreneurship and focus on clean tech innovation. So in that sense, we built on an existing infrastructure and we added the green flavor to it. And I think in that sense, why we were rather successful is because we were also quite front running. In the past, I've also set up a Rockstart Accelerator in Colombia, which was a bit more focused on fintech. In the beginning, fintech was also a little bit difficult in Colombia. First, they wait and see before they take any risk. But when the first people started to commit, it really exploded. And I think that is also what we will see with clean tech and with green entrepreneurship, but then even 1,000 times bigger, because at the end, fintech is just a gadget of the financial industry, and clean tech is really transversal, as we say it. It's relevant for every industry, for every company, for every sector, for every production process, for every value chain. So, and it's way much more. That's much more urgency around it, and also now the whole new agenda around COVID and the green recovery will only stimulate that. You know, we are all seeing like, okay, if we want to do it differently, we have to do it now, and we have to do it right, and we have to do it sustainably. So in that, like, we've been leapfrogging actually. We've been catapulting, you know, what you will see, and I think it will even be 100,000 times bigger. And maybe a bit to add to that is what they are very open for European projects as well. So also what we added, and also me as a person then coming from the Netherlands, living in Colombia, they were quite open also for the programs that EIT Climate Kick and the experience and the background that you already had in Europe to copy paste and tropicalize that in Colombia, you know, not reinvent the wheel, but build on the 10 years of experience that was already there in Europe. And also to put it in perspective, if you walk down the streets in Bogota, you still have this very dirty camionetas, a lot of dirty air, a lot of like trancones, a lot of like traffic jams, bad air quality, no solar panels on the roof, no electrical cars. Recycling is only at like 15 to 19%, while in Europe it's like 99%. So in that sense, there was also something to offer from Europe, so to say, in the circular economy, in our knowledge about that, to bring that and transfer that knowledge also to Colombia, and Colombian people are very open also for that. So I think those were a bit like the mixes what we experienced in Colombia.
Thanks for giving us a view on Colombia, Job. And I think having lived in Colombia, I can totally agree to this point. Rafael, maybe tell us a bit more about Mexico and what's happening out there.
Yeah, I think it's. I agree with Job. I think it's a very interesting what is happening right now, and I think, and in my previous comment, that the window of opportunities is really open right now, and we can be back to 9 years ago, 10 years ago, when the Mexican startup ecosystem was emerging, and then how throughout the years we have seen many generations of organizations, entrepreneurs, startups, until the point that we are now. So in the last 3 years, we have seen an explosion. Actually, a recent article by The Economist say that the Mexican ecosystem, the Mexican bonanza, in terms of the startup, what is happening here, just to have a figure, the investment only this year, around $3 billion, is all it's equal to the amount invested in the last 9 years combined. So there has been a lot of things going on here, and I think it's a time to capitalize on that. And I would say that there has been some previous efforts in the Cleantech sustainability issues here in Mexico. Around 2010, 2011, we have a first movement trying to bring Cleantech into the ecosystem, but it was very embryonic, and it didn't happen like we expected. And also, what we have seen now is that there is a concern, of course. The pandemic changed many things, in the sense that now we have an interest in science-based solutions, and also we acknowledge that we are aware that climate is one of the main challenges for us, but also one of the main opportunities. Like we take the energy sector, for instance, the energy sector, just to mention that, but also because of the biodiversity we have in Mexico, and then the need to protect and restore many of our ecosystems. So it's a challenge, but we also see it as an opportunity. And then we have a new actors coming into the Mexican ecosystem, which is the corporations. There's a renewed interest in corporations in sustainability and social issues, for many reasons, like the environment, social impact, and governance initiatives. Also, the awareness with the Sustainable Development Goals, and all these things that is happening. And also, the energy sector, as I mentioned, it's been nowadays we currently are having like a big discussion in Mexico about the reforms needed to take the energy sector into this be able to fulfill our commitments for 2025 and 2030 about the use of renewable energy as well. But I think it's we can capitalize on that. we need to have an approach, an ecosystem approach to create the communities, the talents. And just to mention, we have already in the last 3 years and a half, we have reached to more than 3,000 entrepreneurs and innovators and students in these topics. And also we have deep connections with 150 of them, and then we have accelerated some 40 startups so far. So we think that the window of opportunity is open, and it's going to grow in the next 9-10 years in a fashion that we expect that resembles what we have in the other startup, in the digital startup. So we are very positive, optimistic about what is coming for Mexico and also for Latin America, of course.
Okay, very good. And we will pick up on the points Job and you mentioned just in a bit when we go into the discussions. Juan Manuel, tell us a bit more about what you're doing in Spain, Europe, and also in Latin America. I mean, how do you see that working together? And tell us a bit more about what you're doing and what's happening in that region.
If I may, we are also working from Belgian perspective and from Portuguese perspective. What now I'm in Andalusia. We are with a group of representatives from Argentina, from the Industrial Park Association in the field of logistics. From a legal framework, I think we have a lot of expectations because European Union and Mercosur, in principle, there will be soon signed a free trade agreement. We hope so. And also with Chile, it can help to promote mutual cooperation. What we have seen is an enormous curiosity from these enterprises and investors from Argentina, Mexico, and others about startups, small and medium enterprises from Europe that, let's say, in Europe there are a lot of interesting patents that can help to do circular economy, to capture CO2 emissions, and there is a lot of slot to work. When you see what they call in Latin America el relleno sanitario, the landfill, okay, we can work a lot in that. In some countries, the recollection of the batteries is not so good. Even in Argentina, the dirty water from the city is going to the el Mar de la Plata, to the river. That means they are not doing water depuration. And we have some inspiration for all of you. European Union is not just the first donor in a worldwide perspective, but there are a lot of talent to provide to you. Imagine life eco-digestion is an example. Life is for free. You can see in internet. Life is the main financial tool from the DG environment. They have just approved us a project of 1 million euros as a pilot project, but we could copy paste in Latin America. To do what? In Europe, we have 18,000 depuration water treatment plants. And now what we have learned is why not to put with the sludge from human origin, why not to use that 18,000 water treatment plants to digest other organic waste from Oreca, hotel, restaurant, and catering, or from pig slurry, for example. Any kind of organic waste can produce more energy, biogas. If I explain to you that in Europe, 0.9% of the consume of energy is from the depuration water treatment plants, is important. And you know, this project, Life Eco-Digestion, is learning all of us how to capture that CO2 emissions, that gas, to do what? Even we have started in the island of Mallorca, they have started to move with that green gas, the 20% of the trucks of the waste recollection. We can learn from that. There are hundreds of projects like that. We have startups, institutes of technology, and we have the funding to do that possible. Euroclima, that is from Europe to Latin America, but also the program Europe Horizon Europe that allows consortium also with partners from Latin America, or why not? I would like to work with our colleagues from the Tech of Monterrey and our colleagues from Colombia here in the panel. Why not working in that triangular cooperation that starts in January? 100,000 euros just for promoting European Union funds, the travel expenses and the experts in the field of water, in the field of circular economy. That's the program TAIEF. We have done that in Chile with Adapt Chile. Adapt Chile is one of the networks of municipalities for adapting of climate change. Let's do possible in this week of actions. Time the world needs occupational therapy to work for climate change, but obtaining also funding and real and creating jobs.
I couldn't agree more, Juan Manuel. Job, Rafael, what do you think about this proposal Juan Manuel is taking and offering?
Yeah,
let's start tomorrow.
Yeah.
Let's start.
So
yeah,
Job,
tomorrow because Europe is in the afternoon, so tomorrow. I would say today in the afternoon, but it will be midnight for you.
I don't have a problem. After that, we start.
I like that motivation, and I wanted to ask Job a bit. I mean, Job, you've been partnering with many partners in your years of journey. What do you think? I mean, about all these potential partners? Who do you see as main partners in the future?
No, I agree also with Juan Manuel about the international cooperation. Let's not reinvent the wheel, but also see where we can make connections. And also, I've always been an advocate for partnerships. That's also always been my role in the ecosystem. I've always been like a spider in the web, because we have no time to waste. So why reinvent the wheel? Why start it all yourself and take like 5 to 10 years to build something up while you can partner with someone? And that has always been my philosophy, and that's also how we created that many impacts. So in that sense, I really agree, and I also see that we have to partner with all kinds of ecosystem partners. Also, what Rafael just said, it's not only corporates, it's not only finance, it's not only government, it's not only the Cámara de Comercios, the universities. Everybody has to play this part. So we really also believe very firmly in that marketplace approach. And at the end, I think one of the holy grails for the future will also be that we want to be this breathing room for bottom-up innovations, but all these entrepreneurs with their passion, with their dedication, with their drive, to make it happen. We want to connect them with corporate partners who can actually offer access to markets, and who often don't have like the capacity to innovate anymore. They're bureaucratic, they are driven by egos, by different layers, by different priorities, by different strategies, by different communication layers. So I really believe that the future will also be to connect these bottom-up innovators with the larger corporates, like also Rafael is doing with Heineken, for example. We are doing with AB InBev. You have a lot of like now corporate accelerator programs, in which they invite bottom-up innovators and actually introduce it in their companies. I really believe that will be the leapfrog for the years to come. And also coming from this spectrum, I started with corporate social responsibilities back in 2000. Now it's all became sustainability, but I think in the 3 years to come it will be all around sustainable innovation, because we know that and we see that sustainability alone is not enough to meet the Paris Agreement targets. We can't solve the problems the way that we created them, so we really have to come up with innovative ideas. So I think that will be the paradigm for the 3 years to come.
I totally agree. Rafael, what do you think about Juan Manuel's offering, and what do you think about partnering up with different types of players?
Yeah, I agree. As I mentioned, I will start today to explore specific actions that we can take together, and it's very relevant because what we have seen in the last 5 years is that perhaps 10 years ago we were talking about the Colombian ecosystem, the Chilean ecosystem, Brazil ecosystem, or Mexican ecosystem, startup ecosystem, but nowadays we can say that we are in a Latin American ecosystem. You know, the playground is all around Latin America, and of course many of the startups connect in Mexico because of market size or because of proximity with the US. But I think that we need to accelerate these connections in Latin America. We are actually currently we are designing a Latin American hub for climate tech startups together with the Green Climate Fund and the JZ, German JZ development agency. So, and we have been talking with many actors in Latin America to do this because we will want to attract entrepreneurs and startups from all over Latin America and the Caribbean. So I think it's very important. I would say this, I agree with a bottom up, but we also need to have like an advocacy role or something that engage public policy. You know, we need to change the perception also in the consumers, and so the task and the challenge is big. So we need strategic alliances and allies to do this. And I would say the government has also a play to do, not only in public policy in terms of incentives or programs, but also in the terms of funding technology. You know, that technology that can be that nowadays is not possible to fund by traditional or private investment or venture capital or many other private instruments. But we need to bring this technology to the market. So the government has also a role to play. Corporations to open doors to pilot and to scale solutions. You know. So I think that obviously also investors, and how can we mix different instruments and new mechanisms for investing in climate tech or clean tech startups to reduce the uncertainty that many perceive nowadays. But the challenge is there. So I agree. We need to collaborate in Latin America and of course in a more global scale, because for instance, in this Latin American hub, we see ClimAccelerator as a key partner, you know, with all the experience they have had in accelerating the startup for the last 10 years and all the mentors and so on. And also, it's interesting what is happening in the United States as well. So we need to bring all these ingredients to the table, capitalize on all the experience we have had so far in the Latin American, Mexican, Colombian, Chilean ecosystem, and then accelerate an ecosystem approach to climate tech.
I think I totally agree. I want to ask Juan Manuel. Juan Manuel, what do you think about what Daube and Rafael are saying? And I will make sure, by the way, that next week I will follow up on the offering you're doing. What do you think about what they're saying?
Of course. First, I think we have to be more ambitious. I don't think just in that concept of LATAM ecosystem. I believe in a broader concept that is Euro-LATAM ecosystem. But because it's true, and we are working with companies from Europe that are going to LATAM and vice versa. For example, we are now assisting some interesting talent companies from Mexico after our Startup Europe Awards Mexico, that indeed we did with the academic partner, the Tech of Monterrey, in 2018. Okay, some of them we have transformed in live projects in Europe as a pilot projects in the field of water digestion with some bacteria. And I mean, why for Latin America, United States is logic. It's very easy, it's close. But when you realize the market of the European Union is incredible, and it's true that Silicon Valley is really interesting in terms of IT. It's true that Europe has the leadership in the field of blockchain versus United States, and perhaps thanks this strange gentleman, Mr. Trump, from all over the world, from Latin America, countries has started to see Europe, what is fine. And you know, in the last report of the DG Grow of the European Commission, we have interesting figures. Did you know that 35% of the startups were created in Europe in the last 10 years? That means it's a quite interesting ecosystem. And now European Commission has identified a lack in the scalability of that companies that don't find funding enough, and then they go to United States as Dropbox, as at the time Skype and other companies. Okay, now we have a new program called Scalar. Second, what I think we can learn each other is about public-private partnership. That means how to work a municipality with a startup, with an enterprise association, and from different countries. We have the methodology. And look, we have in our database of interesting startups that wants to go to United States, we have a lot of them. And they are not going, creator is not going to move to live in Bogota, but he will be more than open to have a local partner in the field of last mile. I want to finish with, I think it's quite important to work in Latin America in all what is recycling. There is a lot of business opportunity in that field. In the field of water, in the field is incredible that Panama Canal, the big Panama Canal, they had problems of water scarcity. Come on, because they bring clean water from the lake, and okay, now apparently they are going to reduce the water, but Panama, in Panama, people use 400 liters every day. It's crazy. They don't. We have to work with them to help them to recycle because they depurate the water and they threw into the ocean. Why not to recirculate that water? We have a lot of examples as that. Latin America needs that innovation that is in the market in Europe. There is the European Union as international organization that wants to help you. Let's do that. Let's do that.
I like your motivation. I like your call to action. To the audience, please raise any questions you have for Daube, Rafael, or Juan Manuel. Be curious, ask them challenging questions. I will ask one last question right now, and then we will have time for some of your questions if you have. So, my dear panelists, I've got one big question for you. What is the long-term vision? One long-term vision we all three of us and all four of us can think about for Latin America. How should Latin America look like in 5 years when it comes to climate and entrepreneurship? What do you think? Daube, go first, but I want you guys to accept one single long-term vision. What do you think?
Now, to stick maybe to the EIT climate kick jargon, I really have this belief and this dream that we are able to fix climate change one startup to scale up at a time, so I really believe that we can. If you see all the ideas that come from Climate Launchpad and then later in the ClimAccelerator, it's really that you think like the savings that they can make on water use, on clean air, on renewable energy. It's just like mind-blowing that you really think like, okay, why didn't we invent this before, so I really like, my dream is really that we can actually solve climate change one star to scale up at a time.
Rafael or Juan Manuel, what do you think? Would you agree, disagree? Tell us your vision and what do you think?
I would say, I would like, of course, I would like to see also a fix of that. But in terms of the vision in the next 10 years, I would like to see the scaling, rapid scaling of solutions. The rapid scaling of solutions, not only, and I agree with Manuel, not only to Latin American level, but also globally, and or in regions that have similar challenges to Latin America, and scaling these solutions and also measuring the impact, that we can really see that the impact is already happening, and then that we can also change our paradigm of economic development, in the sense that we that we are able to lay out a new foundation for the economy based on circular economy, sustainability, social inclusion, and so on. And I know it will take decades to fix a problem like that, like climate change. But at least in my vision, I would like to see a very vibrant and dynamic ecosystem, a Cleantech ecosystem, and that different actors in this ecosystem also play a role in shaping public policy and also have an influence in the consumer market. And that's my vision. Scaling solutions, laying out the foundation for a new wave of economic development.
Very good. I like that one. Juan Manuel, go ahead.
Yes, in my perspective, we have to act just now with a very big problem we have not talked. It's about the forest management, firefighting, and recovery the areas that has suffered the fires. It's incredible what is happening in Brazil or Colombia and in other countries. And really, it's not Latin America. The world needs that Latin America organize better the forest. For that, allow me to share with you the program Cilifo.eu is the biggest program Interreg we are running. Is 25 million euros, and we have created the first incubator for innovative ideas in the field of prevention or firefighting. That means how to reduce the biomass, the waste to do biomass, and then prevention, the firefighting. What about new technologies as drones, thermic teledetection, or tecnosuelos to recovery the land? That's really important. It's a dream, and we need to work in that. And I would like, if someone is listening to us and is interested in this field, we are more than open to facilitate, to have an antenna of our open innovation lab. That is the name of our firefighting incubator. We would like a lot to have an antenna there, and we have some resources for that. Second, I think we have to identify if we are realistic and we want to do climate change in real. We need a tractor area of economic development that help to respect the climate change, and that of course create jobs, because how to talk about climate change when the people is hungry? We need to think in terms of equality. It's because of that I think we should start concentrating in Latin America in a very important industry and sector that is very attractive, that is tourism. Because if you start to do sustainable tourism in Latin America, you are working of water, circular economy, energy, and food. And then it's an indirect way of training the employees and to do and is what something as Costa Rica is doing, but in all the region. And let's think that the potential of tourism in Latin America could arrive up to 15% of their GDP. That we are talking of a lot of employments, millions of employments, because Latin America is fascinating in terms of nature, in terms of beauty, music, gastronomy, but we need to upgrade all the operations in tourism. And then, inspiring of that, other sectors, industrial sector, agriculture sector, will learn to do that. But tourism now, after pandemic, I think people need to travel what we have not been traveling the last 2 years. And Latin America, we should work in that field. And there is a quite interesting initiative we have launched with the Portuguese government, is the Accelerator Tech Portugal, to identify the best innovative ideas in tourism from all over the world, also Latin America, to come to Europe, and to be based in Lisbon, in Portugal, in whatever, in Madeira, and then if you Latin American enterprise, you come to Europe and you create a company, it costs 3,000 euros, then you can have access to European Union subsidies if you have a patent, if you are innovative.
Yeah, very good points, Juan Manuel, thank you. So, gentlemen, I will check out the questions right now. Please give me a minute to check out the questions, and then I will ask some of these questions to you guys directly. So just give me a minute, please. All right, gentlemen, I'm back here, and I have the first question maybe for Rafael and for Daube. What is the competitive advantage of Latin America when it comes to climate solutions? Maybe comparing to other continents as well.
Rafael, you want to start?
Yeah, well, I would say that, of course, the specific challenges we have in Latin America, as Manuel was saying, forestry, water, landfills, energy. I think energy in the case of Latin America, in the specific case of Mexico, it's we have one of the highest solar radiation in the world. So that's a comparative advantage of that. So it will be competitive in the sense that we are able to seize the opportunity and increase the amount of renewable energy we have in Mexico, for instance. I would say that is the first thing. Yeah, the specific challenges that we have within the Latin American context. The second thing I would say that is the talent. For many years, we have had many innovators, researchers doing great things in the field, but we need to untap them. I mean, we need to take them from the labs and from the academia and also from other countries where they are, and then and mix that with match with the specific challenges we have, and then provide solutions here in the region, and then scale globally. And I think that is the second one. And certainly in the funding part, we are behind other regions like Europe or the US, for instance. But I think that is the point of the collaboration that we were talking previously. So I would say that and also I would say the third one, it's as I mentioned, the Mexican startup bonanza. I would say that take advantage of all the Latin American entrepreneurs doing great things, not only in climate tech or clean tech, but in other sectors like fintech. We were talking with Daube the other day that the intersection between fintech and climate tech, for instance, and so I think that will be another advantage. Even the Latin American ecosystem is more dynamic than Southeast Asia, for instance, just to mention, and we are not that behind India, for instance. If we take the investment in Latin America in VC is around, if I'm not wrong, around 6 billion so far in this year, and India is around 8 billion. So I think that is another advantage. So if we can take all this and make the right alliances with Europe, with the US, and then I think we can accelerate what Latin America has to offer to our own problems, but also to the world, solutions to the world.
Yeah, Daube, do you want to add anything to this?
No, I completely agree. As already said, the infrastructure is already there, so the ecosystem is there to leapfrog. Also, what I said already, like the talent, high level of education, high level of entrepreneurial mindset. Actually, already some unicorns on the market, so that is really there. Maybe to add to that, also from a Colombian perspective, is female leadership. What you see is that female leadership is very powerful, especially also in Colombia. Also, as you saw, like participant rates of Climate Launchpad and our accelerator are 40% female led and the 60% masculine. But in every team is actually also a combination of both masculine as well as feminine leadership. So I really think that female leadership is something, and also what Rafael already said, like you have a good home market. So your logical step is also what you see is Colombia. Then in combination, the next country will be Mexico. But then regional rollout is very simple. Latin America is quite similar in its culture and its friendship. And so in that sense, I think it's very easy. Like I think in Europe, for example, countries are a bit different. The Dutch are completely different than Belgium, while we are next door. So I think in that sense, I think the rollout potential to do it regionally is also very huge in Latin America.
Very good. Thanks for adding this. The next question is focused a lot on some territories in Latin America are very rich in natural resources like oil and gas. How do we convince people and governments to turn away from such opportunities, especially considering how much certain struggling economies could and actually do benefit from non-green energy resources? And maybe Juan Manuel, I mean, you've got point of view from a very outside point of view on Latin America. What do you think? You have to unmute yourself.
Sorry. I think of course, we need the funding. Look, the biggest hydro energy plant is the Binacional in Brazil, and it's incredible the energy they produce. I think they can combine to use the oil from the petroleum and the gas, but they have to increase the level of capturing CO2. What Saudi Arabian has present their plan for 2060. They are going to plant millions of trees to compensate the carbon that they are going to sell in the oil that Europe needs. Then we need the oil, because it's not realistic to think that everything can work with the electrical car. Electrical car is wonderful in the cities for small cars, but when you need power, when you need for example, hydrogen, or of course diesel. But okay, what we have to understand is if we use diesel, we need to have active plans of reforesting or capturing CO2. And technology is there. It's just a question of decision. We have to balance and to combine both scenarios at the same time.
I think I totally agree. And I mean, I want to ask the next question. I think it goes a lot to maybe even Rafael to start with. Do they really think that GDP growth and economic development will take the continent onto a sustainable path?
Can you repeat? Sorry, if I consider that we can take.
Do they really think that GDP growth and economic development will take the continent onto a sustainable path?
I think so. I think that, and I would like to add to Juan Manuel, the last question as well. I will say that we need to advocate for that in the public policy sector, but also we need international trade. Now, we will see that every year we will see that the need for a certificate for low carbon footprint in our value chains. So I think that it will take definitely a collective and global effort to do this. And I would say that even if we are not like taking the right decisions and the right steps to take the economy to a sustainable path, I think that global forces will take us there. And if we take that with the, like Job saying, is that with the bottom-up approach, and then with this with entrepreneurs, innovators, and so on, and we provide solutions, and then I think eventually we will take into that path. And of course, if government and corporations and the private sector take the decisions that needs to be made, and I would say that it will be more rapidly that change. But I'm optimistic about that we will be able to change that. I'm in teaching university, so and we are also educating in that, educating leaders and people to think about it and to take the right decisions concerning these issues, sustainability and social impact.
Go ahead, Job. Go ahead. Yeah, what do you want to add?
No, and maybe to add to that, next to that, climate change is the biggest, challenge, the biggest urgency. It's also the biggest opportunity at the moment. It's like a trillion billion dollar industry that is waiting for us. Like not only like BlackRock is divesting from its fossil fuels today. When I was driving here, ABP, the biggest pension fund in the Netherlands, 15 billion. They announced that they will divest from fossil fuels. So that is incredible, there's things that are happening. So it's already there, and everybody will look for investment opportunities in this new and green economy. And that I think is the future. And that's also what you relatively see in Colombia, for example. They have a lot of coal. A lot of coal mines. They are already looking for alternatives for these coal mines, because by 2025, 2030, Europe won't import any coal anymore. So that industry is really going down. 130,000 people depend on that industry in Colombia. So they have to already start investing in new economies, in new ideas, in new job opportunities for those people, So it's already alive, it's urgent, it's taking place, and we only have to accelerate that trend.
I totally agree. Juan Manuel, do you want to add something to this?
Yes, I think that the most important is to understand we have to do capacity building in, of course, workers, of course, in civil servants, and in the new generations. What I find is that the young people that is working in Finnova, they are more open-minded of the importance of climate change and the innovation. And that is because of that we have to be optimistic in the future. But we need to accelerate that, to help that. And then it means we need to communicate better, to communicate that best ideas, good stories, these startups, to inspire others. Everything is possible. As 20 years ago, it was not so easy that a startup starts from zero. Now you have funding just from zero. For example, the project CircoAx. We are in another project. The deadline will be tomorrow. If someone wants to come, we are looking for the 30 best ideas in circular economy for textile and fashion, and also social innovation. And we are going to give that ideas. It can be an early stage, a startup, a small medium company, a university, someone from the university, 12,000 euros. What is not a lot, but it's for free. It's a subsidy to start. And at the same time, mentoring to do real that project. There are a lot of funding, as they have explained, in Europe, in Latin America, in the public institutions, and now it's like 100 years ago, after the pandemia, Spanish gripe. It was the happy 20s, and also the Bauhaus. Now we are with the new Bauhaus, and we believe that in next years there will be a lot of opportunities and accelerating economies and creating jobs. But we have to try to keep that sustainable and let's say that it has to be aligned with the objectives of climate change.
Totally, I totally agree. One last question to Job, and that's the last one, and then we'll wrap up. Job, I know you have lived in different countries, and I think that's where you can give us a good view on this one. How do they, like governments, usually deal with corruption when it comes to scaling startups in the region? I mean, what experiences have you had? What have you seen, Job?
No, I don't know actually. Considering scaling, of course, like corruption is a big problem, but that's actually why we maybe need scale-ups. That we are, because at the end, that's always what I believed in. I set up one of the first impact investment funds in the Netherlands to invest in Africa, also with the philosophy for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs. And also because at the end, entrepreneurship is the motor for the economy. It creates innovation, it creates jobs, but it also creates independence. Like at the end, entrepreneurs are the leader of a community. They are creating the jobs. They are the role example. They are building this economy. They are innovating. They are building the middle class. They are building SMEs. So actually, maybe startups or scale-ups are the solution to corruption, to avoid these big conglomerates, to avoid these big subsidies, these big grants. As a startup or a scale-up ourselves, we don't need that much money to create a lot of impact. So maybe actually sustainable entrepreneurs who also have very good business ethics and life ethics are the solution actually to fight and to become less dependent of all this corruption, and just instead of talking, just do it and create the impact, and do it with your internal belief and your passion and your determination, and that has nothing to do with corruption. So I think maybe we are the solution to fight corruption.
I totally agree, and I think this is a good wrap-up of this session. We really want to enable and motivate entrepreneurs out there to fight climate, to move and be active in Latin America, in Europe, across the world. I think. Thank you, gentlemen, for this session. We've had Blom from Cleantech Hub in Colombia, running the Colombia ClimAccelerator. We've had Rafael Piñón from the Tecnologico de Monterrey in Mexico with us, as well as Juan Manuel Revuelta from Spain and Belgium, leading Finnova as an organization. Thank you, gentlemen, for this session, and see you soon again. To the audience.
Thank you. Nice.
Thank you. To the audience, see you soon again. This was the first session on Latin America. Tomorrow we will be having a session on Asia at 8:30 a.m. Central European time zone. So see you then, and also this afternoon we will have 2 sessions happening. One of them will be again on Spark, a free workshop on what we are doing in the space program Copernicus. And the second session is at 5 p.m. Central European time, is around one of our journey participants. What was their journey as an innovator in climate, and what do they have planned in the future? So stay tuned, check out our YouTube channel, LinkedIn and Facebook site for today, but also tomorrow. And in the next days, we will have many, many sessions coming up in our week of action. See you soon again, and thank you a lot.